when I saw a beautiful mover run down the street and just say, thank you. Those are smaller backpacks that we really shouldn't overload. So I think that the problem is we want to carry the kitchen sink around with us. We can definitely decelerate healing by getting in the way, but we can't accelerate it. That's the domain of the brain. It would almost strip the need away to, oh, we don't need to notice, just ask AI. Well, AI is not going to provide you with a solution if you haven't noticed. What Western person talks about their sense of spatial organization and their awareness of themselves in space? Doesn't happen.
Welcome to the Visionary podcast, where we discuss science, medicine, physical health, and mental well-being. You personally attest that at the age of I'm not gonna.
Oh, no.
at your age, that you are getting better and better at what you do and at running. There is this mindset or attitude that poor pattern movements are inevitable outcome of aging. How would you challenge this attitude?
I reject it entirely. When you consider, again, we scratch the surface, does it make sense? Invariably, the pain is not on both sides of the body. Let's talk about a knee because the knee is easy. So if the pain is in the right knee, the left knee is just as old as the right knee, but the left knee doesn't hurt. So it can't be age. We are, if you have, there's a big cause correlation element as well. So there's a painful area. We'll go in and have a scan, and we see some meniscus tear, something, wear and tear, degenerative. We see bone on bone. Well, they didn't scan the other knee. And I actually recently worked with a lady who had immense pain in one hip, and there was a labral tear. And they actually had scanned the other hip too, and there was a labral tear. They wanted, and there was wear and tear, and they wanted to do 2 hip replacements. And she wanted to know, was this a good idea? And I said, well, yeah, I'm not the surgeon, but there's no pain on the other side. Nothing at all. The pain is only on one side, but the joints looked exactly the same. So it can't be the look of the joint. It would need to be, what is that hip that hurts? What extra duress is that hip under that the other one that looks exactly the same on the scan isn't under? So then you have to it's not about dissing anything. It's about looking at the entire picture. And Volvo did a study a long time ago. This is sort of one of those stories that have been bandied around for, it's now decades, because it was an eye-opening moment. So Volvo, many decades ago, did a study. It wasn't a study. They wanted to make the best car seat. So it was Volvo, the best car seat. And of course, they were in competition with Audi, Vorsprung durch Technik. And so they wanted to make a car seat that was comfortable, the best car seat, not orthopedic. So they had 500 volunteers for the sitting tests, and they weren't allowed to have any history of back pain. And each volunteer was scanned in the MRI. 76% of them, it was said, had disc prolapse. No pain. So when there is pain and you have a scan and there's a disc prolapse, there's an automatic cause correlation. The pain is because you have a disc prolapse. Well, it might be, but it might not be.
Yes.
We can't know. We need more information.
You talked about cultures where some people carry things on their heads. I come from such culture. I come from Egypt, and it's a common thing in rural areas that women would carry a huge pots of water on top of their heads. And you said that their backs don't hurt. Why do you think that? Do they have stronger muscles or better core stability?
When we carry in the Western world, we'll load modern day backpacks, we'll load up our back, but we'll take the weight on our back. So now all the forces everything's under strain. So now the head is forward. And so we've got all of the extra loads from the strain of the head, plus the load on the back. And you can't move freely underneath. Whereas when you put the weight on your head, if your head is perched effortlessly on the top of your spine, and bearing in mind if you're forward, it'll probably fall off. So you've got this proprioception, this awareness of it's balanced on the top of your head, therefore your head must be balanced on top of your spine. And you have free movement of your body underneath whilst taking the load. It is a more practical way of load management.
Yeah, is that what we should take from these traditional practices, not to wear or use backpacks?
I think that in the Western world, people aren't going to go around carrying things on their heads.
No.
But backpacks tend to be slung on and not worn in the way that the manufacturers have intended, with all of the buckles being done up and the hip.
Most of them don't have buckles in the first place.
Well, those are smaller backpacks that we really shouldn't overload. So I think that the problem is we want to carry the kitchen sink around with us.
It's true.
Yes, and then the bigger ones, you'll often see people carrying big loads, but they haven't bothered with the hip. What's it called? Belt area.
Buckles. Right?
Yes, which helps distribute the weight evenly across the body without you carrying it. It is resting on your pelvis. So I think that we're often our own worst enemies. We're lazy and and it looks a bit nerdy perhaps. We don't want to look like a numpty. I don't know. Sometimes we don't even think about what we're doing. We're just uncaring of our entire body.
Yeah. If you were sitting in a London cafe, leisurely having a cup of tea and watching people go by, what would you conclude about how we move today?
I have been known, when we had the shop, to run out of the shop when I saw a beautiful mover run down the street and just say, thank you.
Really?
Just thank you. You've made my day. There are beautiful movers out there. So I think that it's not about being critical. It's about, goodness, that looks awkward. It's people are not helping themselves and not realizing they're not helping themselves. And then getting themselves into trouble and then finding it difficult to get out of trouble because of the way that they are mindlessly moving. And of course, we blame the ubiquitous, we're always in our phone. And yes, but actually I think it's the visual field. So we are, instead of walking around and actually being engaged in our environments, we're on the phone, we're walking along, texting and on the phone, looking at something. And it's too close. So we're forced into convergent vision, which is tension within the system. But it's invisible unless you have experienced the release of peripheral vision. And then the tension within the system of convergent vision is easily done. You can just sit there whilst you're listening to us and just take in the sides of the room that you're in. Yeah. And your gaze, without moving your eyeballs, your eyeballs have to soften. And your whole system, you'll feel the difference in you. Wherever your tension was, you will probably find there's less. And then you'll be able to make it again as soon as you go into convergent vision and focus laser vision on something.
Hi, I'm Hella, your host today. If you're enjoying what you see, please hit that lovely subscribe button. It will mean a lot to us. Or maybe a small podcast now, but with your support, we can build this channel together, one step at a time. Thank you so much for being part of it. We call our podcast The Visionary. We're all about vision and innovation. This section is all about visionary, moral, ethical questions. You've once said we are movement animals. What do you think we have lost as a society when it comes to fitness, sports, movement, and what is the cost of that?
So I think that this is so multifactorial. And what immediately now pops into my head is we think we need to exercise. We need to work out. So we've morphed movement and we've boxed it into this segment of, okay, I've got to do this 45 minutes or this, whatever it is, 8 minutes of HIIT. And then that's it. I've done my exercise.
You're just describing me.
Yeah. And then the rest of the time, we're not moving because we've done our exercise. But and they tell us that pandiculation, so a pandiculation is a whole body stiffening. So you imagine a dog getting up, been asleep for a while. He'll get up. I'm just thinking of my dog now. He'll get up and he'll just like 4 legs like this, and then, one leg at the back and then the other leg and then a whole body shimmy. And that happens, they tell us, 14 to 17 times a day in animals. Whole body waking up. And humans don't. We might do a stretch routine, a prescriptive stretched routine, not an instinctive. We might, we've got a bit of an ache here. We might, but only when we've reached the point of discomfort instead of regularly. Yeah. And I think, so this, we get into how we're made. So we start off as 2 cells and they divide. And then we're a little pancake. And the pancake folds. And the folding pancake makes tubes for all of our, food pipe and air pipe and major vessels. And then it folds and morphs into more pockets for the organs. And we think of movement as musculoskeletal, muscles and tendons and strength and aesthetics. I think of movement and health and well-being as organ health. We will not feel well if our organs aren't healthy. Just because you run every day doesn't mean to say you are well or healthy. Our quality movement depends on our movement moving our organs. I think our movement patterns, our innate movement patterns, are there within all of the embryonic folding to create the movement for the health of the organs. And it's the movement of the body that does that. So it's the movement of the body that feeds the health of the organs, the movement of the organs, and our health and well-being.
Amazing.
Not the other way. There's another way around. And I almost get lost in my thoughts because I think, it's this. And I think that we've got lost with control about so much movement is controlled. Everything in the gym is controlled. Lots of different and very beautiful movement patterns are very controlled, very structured. And I wonder how that translates and whether or not your liver is saying, thank you so much for that controlled movement. Or if it's saying, could you actually just bend and weave a little bit more and use a little bit more of the variability of my complex movement patterns that are available in order for me to be a little bit more comfortable? I don't know. I just wonder about these things. And the more prescriptive our movement becomes, the more it becomes exercise, the more it becomes a little bit dull, maybe. And the less we are involved in the way our bodies would thrive with if they moved in a more natural way and a less human thought of way, a less man-made way.
Yes, that reflection, it totally captured how we outsourced intuition and blindly followed instructions, me included. We live a life that keeps telling us what to do and doesn't allow us to feel, almost like industrialized movements.
Yes.
Amazing. In your book, you talk about self-healing and self-massaging. I love this topic, because I do believe in our innate potential to do much, much more. And I love this question. I think in every episode I ask it. It's a standard thing. Talk to me about the body's amazing capacity to heal itself.
Well, and it's a beautiful segue to what we were just talking about with our movement begetting the health of the organs, being there for the health of the organs. So it is the healing. So I don't know if they've changed that. So a few years ago, I was told by a geneticist who I happen to be working with that we know the journey of a stem cell to a ligament cell. Now, I might have got this the wrong way around. It was either, it's either this way around or the opposite. So we know the journey of a stem cell to a ligament cell. We have no idea how the stem cell becomes a tendon cell or the other way around. But the stem cell does. And you think, I am just in awe. We have so much regenerative ability. We don't understand it yet. We don't know it all yet. The brain scientists tell us that when we're talking about the neuroplasticity of the brain, which is in charge of all this healing, the brain sends the resources to wherever we need it. So when we do the extra gardening and we have the calluses on our hands, we don't make the calluses. The brain is, oh my goodness, we need some more skin cells here. Otherwise, we're going to have a hole and infection's going to get in. So we're going to have a callus. And then when you stop doing the gardening, the callus disappears because the brain doesn't need to send the resources anymore. So we don't replenish that which we built up. When a bone is broken, the brain goes, oh my goodness, we need some bone cells here. Send lots of bone cells. And then when it's got enough, it stops sending them. And actually, it's overmade it. And then a few other bone cells come along and smooth it all out and sculpt it and make it nice. Incredible. Can we do that? No. So we know that the brain can send resources wherever it needs to. We exercise and we get strong muscles. What we've done is stress the muscle. The brain thinks, oh my goodness, this muscle is stressed. I better send some more muscle cells and strengthen this, shore up this area, because otherwise it's going to collapse in a heap. We know these things are going on, but we don't have to instruct the brain. The brain just does it. So the brain scientists tell us the sky is the limit. So it's just learning more and more. How can we learn more and more how to use our brain in better ways to find better for us? We can't take over the healing. We can definitely get in the way of it. We can definitely decelerate healing by getting in the way, but we can't accelerate it. That's the domain of the brain. All we can do is better understand the brain to tap into its amazingness.
Yes, and it does that without even our help sometimes.
Even when we're sleeping.
Sleeping, yeah. Helen, you blend objective data with intuitive coaching. How do you see technology like motion capture or AI changing the way we understand and improve movement in the next, let's say, 10 years?
It's a really good question, and it's a tricky one. AI, so much of the technology is about giving us the answer. We want the answer. What's the answer? Give me the answer. Give it to me so I don't have to go find it. So it's almost, with the one hand, it will give you instant answers. On the other hand, it's like, how do we learn? So we learn by making mistakes. We know that's the best way to learn. We know all of this. We have to fall down, then we'll get back up again and we'll learn. If we just learn by rote, we're given the answer, X equals Y. I feel as if we might, because we don't understand movement yet, you wonder if movement understanding, human understanding will actually, could it stall? I don't know. But it doesn't tap into the entirety of us, which is our perceptions, our feelings, our noticings, our awareness. It would almost strip the need away to, oh, we don't need to notice, just ask AI. Well, AI is not going to provide you with a solution if you haven't noticed that, I don't know, your inside your shoe, your big toe on your right is doing, in fact, it's going the wrong way. It doesn't know your big toe is going the wrong way inside your shoe. So it takes away autonomy and sovereignty and ownership of you. So whilst I am absolutely not against technology, I have invested a lot of money in the most advanced tech in the world.
I could tell.
It's a lot. To understand better. But Doris doesn't give me the answers. She just shows me what's going on, and I have to question, okay, why? Why is that happening? Whilst all the advancements, if we're heading in the right direction with technology that can measure things and help us understand better, we've still got to think better. We still have to give ourselves the freedom to think better. And of course, technology can't get a sense of what you're feeling within. There's a tribe in, I think it's Africa, and I think they pronounce it the Yui tribe, where they have 9 senses. We have 5.
9 senses.
9 senses.
What are they? Do you remember?
I don't know all the 9, but one of them, and the most important one, is balance. So their very, very first sense, and they'll be, the little 3-year-old will be balancing a little teacup on their head.
Aww.
Because balance to them is the most important sense. So we think of, if I ask somebody what they think the 5 senses are, they'll generally rattle off 4, and then they'll have to sit tight to think of the final one, and they'll forget
the touch. I forget the touch.
Or smell. So that's the 2 most common I've come across with them. They're thinking, taste, and they've forgotten about their nostrils because they never use them. Their mouth is always open. It's always quite interesting. So we think of 5, and they say, well, but those are outside influences coming in. We're talking about internal, introception. So our sense of balance, where we are in space. What Western person talks about their sense of spatial organization and their awareness of themselves in space? Doesn't happen. And I don't know that AI is going to sort that out for us. We have to do that work. We have to become more aware of where we are in space. And if we don't know where we are, find ways to find out why we don't know where we are. And then once we know why we don't know where we are, then we can find solutions to sort that out.